I'm Vince.
Welcome to
Snack Time.
Today's topic is art. What are you snacking on?
Well, today I'm snacking on this called an Awake chocolate bar. It's basically a chocolate bar that contains caffeine and has caramel injected into it. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me just say that.
it was pretty good. We'll see what the caffeine's like, if it's going to be hitting me here in about an hour or so. But it was okay. I like a little bit darker chocolate, but it was a good treat. It was a good treat today.
Yeah.
So what about you? What did you bring to us to snack on?
Well, I was snacking on some Necco wafers.
Oh, wow. Well, they're not making those anymore. So
They're
you are
not.
eating some of the last Necco wafers that are in existence.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay.
Little tip from Flocka. She gave that's why we bought them. So yeah.
Well,
Go try that.
I get why they're not making them anymore. I'm conflicted because they remind me of like the candy hearts from like Valentine's Day, and I love those because they taste like dust. Don't ask.
Okay.
But but they also just don't taste. They're like they don't have any flavor, but they have flavor. I don't know. They're just. I get why they're not making them anymore.
Okay, so it's a little weird. So
let's get into today's topic, which is art.
Well, thank you very much for
yeah.
let's start that. So, what we wanted to go with today was trying to look at what inspires us and kind of like what's my artistic process, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess one thing that inspires me is music. A lot of music inspires me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so music's one of the things I'm really big into, And so when I see a song, when I hear a song,
It's all right.
and sometimes I can see it in the colors, but that's another day that's another topic for another day. Anyways,
Yeah.
So when I hear the music, there's some songs that inspire like just visions to me, and just I see the music, and so sometimes that I do art. I've picked a few songs and even actually framed a couple art pieces about songs that are special to me. So and some of them have to deal with love. So that's kind of like the big thing with them. One that stands out is I Want to Make It With You. And I want to, or something like that, and it's by this group called Queens of the Stone Age. And the version that I've heard was done in one of their this Desert Sessions, which is a collaboration. Is done by a collaboration of artists, so it's one of those, and it just was a cool song. And then another one that stands out is a Daft Punk song, Something About Us, and just those the colors that it presents to me, and I don't know. So that's one thing that inspires me.
What's a few other things that inspire you besides music?
Like going like this, something. Love inspires me, so that's kind of what I pointed out.
How cheesy.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like, when you hit something, when something hits you, I feel like, like the beauty of the natural world, like, and just looking at stuff from like different angles, not just, beautiful.
Not really just like romantic love, more of just like love for everything else, I guess. Like, of course, romantic, but just
yeah, and we'll talk about that in my process, but even looking at it as just the beauty around you, and it might be stuff from different angles. It could be just the way a plant looks from a different angle, and I don't know, or you can be walking around and see something that's like, oh, that looks really cool, and you see a pattern in it, and so you kind of let that inspire you. And so that's kind of so I don't know if all that makes sense. Probably not. But and I like to find stuff that's called like unsuspected beauty, something that you wouldn't think an area where there'd be beauty, or it wouldn't look beautiful, but then when you put it into art, it kind of changes it a little bit. So, and talking about my process, I think the process that happens and what inspires me is just that it's this expression of my inner self, kind of what's going inside of me right now. So I really like focus in on that. So, if I hear the song or see something that inspires me, or, then I start, it hits me, and I really try to see it's only really when I do art when I'm able to express what's really going on in me. And then that outpouring of energy. So it's almost like I have this energy build up, and I have this my inner self just ready to let this energy out. And so then I let that energy out. And then I use whatever's kind of around me, whether it's paint or crayons or colored pencils or just regular pencil drawing, sometimes pens, and just really kind of let it go out. And it's crazy because I sit there and I do whatever art I'm going to do, and then it feels like then I'm done.
Wow.
And then I have to step away from it, and it could be, the piece could not, it's not necessarily finished, and I'll just come back later and do it. But once it is, it just feels like I'm just drained of that energy, and so it's just there on the paper. And that's kind of what art does to me, and then I see that, and where I do get some inspiration from is my father, who I get. I think it's been about 4 years since he's passed away, since he died, and recently, in fact, today I unveiled one of his. I found one not unveiled, but I found one of his art pieces that I've had stored away, and it was pretty cool. It was kind of emotional. There's some energy in there. It's just kind of emotional, but I hung it up, and yeah, man. I mean,
you told me about this painting, and it was really interesting to me. Would you like to tell us how you found out about this painting, or?
Well, it's a painting that we've always had around since I was a kid. And talking to my mom about it, and if you look on the back it says November 1974. So it was about 4 months. Yeah, 4 months since I was before I was born. And so my mom was pregnant with me. She says that it was commissioned by a student organization at the University of Wyoming. And they're focused on the Chicano movement at the time.
Yeah.
And my dad, he painted it, and so it's about two hands handing over a child. And in the background, there's some red, white, and green, and there's like some colors with that. But it depicts the people are just have brown skin, and so that's kind of my dad just saw this as basically a symbolism of sharing life, and kind of when you think about it, when you have a kid, it's kind of like you two are sharing life with the person you have that child with. But what was interesting, since it was done for the Chicano student group there at the University of Wyoming, that some critics saw it as the birth of Chicanoism, or birth of Chicanos there at the University of Wyoming or something. But but it was fun times. My mom and dad had a lot of fun with art, and so my dad was always doing art. Or not always, but he would do art. He was a talented artist, and so just to see that, and it drew me to tears. So it was kind of an emotional time. So again, outpouring of energy, and sometimes with art you can feel that energy that the artist put into it. So
that was very beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Would you mind going into kind of? You said you use like pencils, just really whatever you can find. You use pencils or pen. Do you like using acrylics, like acrylic paint more? Have you tried
I think up to now I've only predominantly used acrylic paints. Watercolors I haven't really gotten into.
Oh, you
I know
should.
That's something that you've done, and you really get into watercolors. That's not something that I've done a whole lot with. So it's more been the acrylics. That's the mainstay of what I do. Or I guess if you really look at my art and seeing what I have done, it's been more of like markers, pen, and pencil.
Oh, yeah,
so those are the predominantly.
You've loved using my Copics.
Yeah, Copics are really amazing.
They're beautiful markers.
They are beautiful markers.
Just
the way they flow the paint.
Use them in like a well-ventilated area though, because if you use them for like way too long, they're alcohol-based markers. I got a headache. It was horrible. But yeah, thank you for sharing about that.
Yeah, you bet. So now, how about you? Like when you talk about art, I know this is really a big topic for you. So go ahead and.
Well, the same thing with you, as you said before, I guess. Music really does inspire me.
Yeah.
I grew up with music.
Yep,
whenever.
Sure did. Yep, we both did. But
when I was like a baby and I couldn't sleep, you'd play music and rock me back to sleep.
Yep.
And that's kind of formed. That's kind of how I've been able to express that's showing my love and appreciation for music through art. And art really does give me my voice. Like I use it to express how I feel. I use it to express how I feel with like my opinions and how much I care about them. Like,
And you've been recently, especially with recent events in the world, in the U.S., you've been really trying to express yourself and how you feel about different causes and other causes that you're passionate about. I've seen that.
I really do try to make sure that my voice is heard through art, because I feel I'm better with a paintbrush than I am with a pen and paper. Not just because my handwriting's bad.
No. That's not the only reason.
I feel really, like, if I feel really strongly about a certain song, like, I have a list on my phone of just songs that I want to paint to. If you look at my art Instagram, which I can tag below into the comments or whatever, if you look at that, like, it's most of my art is inspired by things that I see, or sometimes I'll just look at a painting and go, oh, yeah, I could do something to that. And I don't use just traditional, I don't really use, like, just paints and on a canvas. I also consider, I used to do a lot of cosplay. I'm slowly getting back into it.
Yeah.
But most of my outfits or costumes were machine sewn, with thanks to my grandma, your mom.
Yep. She makes that cosplay.
Man, it was beautiful. But of course, I would have to look at the pictures, and I'd have to, like, decide what fabrics, what colors, and you can put your own spin onto it. And I don't have, we don't have, a ton of money to go out and buy a bunch of fancy fabrics. So sometimes it would just be, take an old shirt and make it into a skirt or something.
Yep, and she would be able to do that stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And then you have your, was it cross-stitching or your...
embroidery.
Embroidery, yeah.
Yes, embroidery.
I don't know if it's cross-stitching, but embroidery.
No, cross-stitching is a bit different, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. But anyways, embroidery is definitely something that I love to do. One of my first embroidery projects was a little pride flag, a very small, very badly stitched and pride flag on a Jimi Hendrix shirt.
No, yeah,
I still have that shirt. It's a little small, but I still love it. It's so soothing to punch something, to punch a piece of fabric with a needle, a million times. And it's so satisfying to see your art form and come together.
Yeah.
My process, I guess, is usually, how I figure out what I want to paint. Is I find music or something that I want to paint.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just either from this list, or I have a sketchbook with me most of the time at school. So if I'm just suddenly bam, music, song, I need to keep this down, I need to write this out, I need to draw it out. I'm not great with drawing, so it'll just be some random sketch and some colors thrown into it, and then I'll paint it later, I swear. Yeah. And I don't really rush it. I just let it kind of flow to me. Whatever speaks to me will speak to me.
And I'm interested, when you hear a song, what's your process of choosing colors?
Okay, so it sounds like it's going to get off topic, but I swear it's not. So you know that one scene in Ratatouille?
Yes.
Where Remy offers his brother, the cheese, and he's like, taste this! And then on screen it's this little swirls around him, and then he's like, now take the taste of grape, and then the swirls, and then take them together, cheese and grapes, and just the swirls around it. That's how it kind of is to me. A rat trying food for the first time.
I totally agree with that. The music, you see the colors, you feel the colors. It's, music and just, I guess the energy that's around the world kind of hits you like that. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll even look into the music or look into the lyrics, and just kind of decipher what do they mean? What does the artist mean when they were creating the song, and then how do I interpret it, and how does it impact me?
Yeah.
And then with the colors that I use, my favorite color by far is purple. I have almost everything. I try to have a lot of things purple.
Yeah, you do. That's true.
From my phone case to everything I can to have purple.
And that's what's crazy is you take purple and then you put it in so many forms and just ways that it's just you're using one color, but then there's all the different varieties of it. So that's one thing I would say what's cool about your art. People, you should check out our art. I mean, his art. You should really check out his art.
But like, I don't. It's just also another way that I find colors is just by mixing them together. Like I have a bunch of little empty pots from like cheap little paints, and like I'll just go like, okay, well this orange and this gold look pretty nice. How about I mix them together? Or, what does hot pink and vermilion look like together? And I made hot vermilion with that combo, and gosh, that's a beautiful color.
Hot vermilion.
Hot vermilion. Also, just making up names for like colors that you mix together is so much fun. Like if you just let it come naturally, like if you go, yeah, it looks like hot vermilion, then that's it.
All I remember about mixing colors when I was younger is just that they would turn like this ugly puke brown.
Yeah.
That's all I remember mixing colors. Like
it's
always going to turn to a puke brown. Better be careful here.
Yeah. You got to be careful with that. Like red and green, don't mix. Like just overall doing some more research. I love doing research. Doing research into other colors and stuff like that, and just kind of figuring out like, oh, so these colors should not mix together, and then just looking at things. And I have a bunch of pictures on my phone from just flowers that I see, or just like things that I see. I'm like, I like that color. I want to use it as a reference later on.
Wow.
And so that's usually how I figure out my colors. And
what do you like to use? Like what do you like to use?
Well, I like to use acrylics mainly, just because I get so messy. Like I see other people who paint, they have like very clean space. Where they have like the palette that they have the colors on, that's very clean, and there's not months of paint piled up on it and dried into it.
But let's be real, some of that's just for show.
Yeah. I don't understand how people can, like, my view of it is you can't be clean and pristine and make art. Like, you can, it's just won't have, you're putting your passion and your love, and you're giving a piece of you to this work of art. And so you really gotta just kind of absorb into it. And so that's my excuse of why my hands, and like I paint my nails, but they're always covered in paint, so you don't really know what's under there. But I love just getting really messy with paint. And I always loved finger painting when I was a little kid, and I still want to do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I still do it.
Yeah.
Just not
Let's
with
be honest,
finger
all of
paints.
us do a lot of finger paints, but...
yeah. I also like to use watercolors.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it flows, and I love painting like the ocean because it reminds me of my sister. Just the way it flows and how the colors can just kind of go together. I don't know. I just love watercolors. But really, I also just kind of like, to get my inspirations, kind of going back a little bit, I paint with a very vague idea of what the final project will be. And like if I want a circle, I can't paint circles, so I'll just grab like a bottle cap or the cap off of my paint bottle and just put paint on it and stamp it down. Like I use the same like my brushes are kind of crusty and yikes, they're stained. Probably would love to get like fancy brand new ones, but honestly I'm fine with the stuff that I have, and I don't feel like I need fancy high quality materials when I can just paint with my own, like just paint with what I want to paint and just what I want to do, and it gets messy.
Yeah, art definitely does get messy.
Yeah.
And I think, for me it's not until really doing art, but unless you are messy with it. So and that could just be who we are, it's not that energy coming out, because sometimes the energy that comes out of you is messy. So
yeah. Well, I think that about wraps it up for today's episode of Snack Time.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Snack Time.
Today we talked about art. Thanks for
snacking
with us, and we'll see you next episode. Bye.
Bye.